For 3 centuries, Mexico lived under the shadow of conquest. An empire had fallen, a colony had risen, and a people who once ruled their own world now lived under the rule of another. But beneath the weight of oppression, something powerful survived: memory, identity, and the quiet certainty that no empire lasts forever. This episode is the story of that awakening. The story of how a land shaped by ancient civilizations and scarred by colonization began to rise again. The story of how Mexico walked the long, painful, unstoppable road toward independence. This is Mexico, the road to independence. Before independence, Mexico was known as New Spain, a vast colony ruled from across the ocean. The Spanish crown controlled the land, the wealth, the laws, and the people. A rigid caste system divided society by blood and color. At the top stood the Peninsulares, Spaniards born in Europe. Below them, the Criollos, Spaniards born in Mexico, wealthy but denied real power. Below them, the mixed races. And at the bottom, the indigenous people whose ancestors had built empires long before Spain existed. For generations, this system held firm. But no system built on inequality lasts forever. Whispers of change began far from Mexico. In Europe, ideas of liberty, equality, and the rights of nations spread like sparks carried by the wind. The Enlightenment challenged kings. Revolutions erupted in the United States and France. And in 1808, when Napoleon invaded Spain, the old order trembled. In New Spain, the Criollos saw their chance. If Spain could not rule itself, how could it rule a continent across the sea? But the spark that would ignite the revolution came from an unexpected place, a small town called Dolores, and a priest named Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla. Hidalgo was more than a priest. He was a thinker, a rebel, a man who saw injustice and refused to look away. On the night of the 15th of September, 1810, he rang the church bell and called the people to rise. His cry, the Grito de Dolores, was not just a call to arms. It was a call to dignity. The people answered. Indigenous communities, mestizos, farmers, laborers, those who had carried the weight of colonial rule for centuries, rose with fury and hope. A revolution had begun. Hidalgo's movement swept across the land like a storm. But revolutions are never simple, and the road to freedom is never straight. Hidalgo was captured and executed, but the fire he lit did not die. Another leader rose, José María Morelos, a brilliant strategist and a man of unbreakable resolve. Morelos transformed the uprising into a true independence movement. He declared that all people in Mexico were equal. He demanded the end of slavery. He envisioned a nation where power belonged not to kings, but to the people. But like Hidalgo, Morelos paid with his life. Yet even in death, he pushed the revolution forward. Years passed. Battles raged. Armies rose and fell. Spain tried to crush the rebellion, but every victory only fueled the desire for freedom. And then, in a twist history loves to write, the final push came from an unexpected alliance. A royalist officer named Agustín de Iturbide, once an enemy of the revolution, joined forces with the insurgent leader Vicente Guerrero. Together they created the Plan of Iguala, a vision for a free Mexico, united under 3 guarantees: independence, unity, and religion. Their armies marched as one. Spain could no longer hold its grip. On the 27th of September, 1821, the army of the 3 guarantees entered Mexico City. After 300 years of colonial rule, Mexico was finally free. A nation was born, not from the will of kings, but from the courage of its people. A nation shaped by indigenous roots, colonial scars, and the unbreakable belief that freedom is worth any sacrifice. The road to independence was long. It was painful. It was written in blood, hope, betrayal, and resilience. But it led to something powerful, the rebirth of a nation. Mexico had fallen once, but now it had risen again. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more, and be on the lookout next week for our next episode. Dominican Republic before independence. Shadows of the First Colony.